In this video, I'll be installing the Boost Auto Lumastep M2 running boards on my 2500 HD. But let's go back to the beginning. Here's our truck with no running boards. So this is how they arrived. Let me open them real quick. I've got our boxes unpacked, and what we have here is everything over on this side is for the passenger side. Everything over here is for the driver's side. Well, with the exception of these bolts, half are for the driver's side, half are for the passenger side. These two bolts are the same. One's for the driver's, one's for the passenger. And these are running board bolts, zip ties. So I've got here is the driver front, DF, driver front retractor motor. And this is the rear bracket. Now this doesn't have a side on it, so these two are the same, passenger, driver side, same for that. So this harness and half of this harness will get snaked down to the driver's side motor at the same time. This is the driver's side tap for the headlight. It doesn't really make a difference. There's two of these if you bought these, like I did. Moving to the passenger side, which is what we'll be working on first, we've got our again, our headlight tap here. This wiring harness, which I believe is for the lights. You know that this is for the passenger side because it has the power leads on it. So the power leads are over on the passenger side. This will help you tidy up the wiring after everything's done. And then we've got our passenger front motor right here for the steps. It's over here on the passenger side because it gets snaked through the firewall over on the passenger side of the vehicle to get into the cab, so that you can install this rocker switch which controls your rock lights. And then here is our rear bracket. We're also going to need some tools. Now keep in mind some of this stuff is optional. It just makes it a whole lot easier to do the job. Here are some of the tools that I have gathered for this project. We've got just a standard tool set. Any old standard tool set will work. You're mostly just going to need a metric 13 and probably a 10, wrench and socket. We've got a heat gun. There is a couple butt connectors that'll need to be basically shrunk with a heat gun. Some people might use a lighter. I use a heat gun. Then I've got a drill and a 13/16 paddle bit. This is to drill a hole for this switch right here. This is only needed if you've got the rock light option. Some wire crimpers. This is a piece of baling wire. You could also use a coat hanger, but you'll need this. I've got a Gerber multi-tool. It always helps. You'll need either this, which is kind of a body clip remover thing, or a large flat blade. You could also use that because all you're doing is removing some plugs underneath. This would be optional. You could just use a regular old ratchet, but you know, this makes things a little bit easier. Some electric tape. You're not actually taping any electrical things up. You're just using this to tape stuff to this piece of wire, so you could probably use a masking tape as well. Definitely going to want some sort of general purpose cleaner to clean underneath your truck. If you live on a dirt road like I do, it's going to be pretty dirty under there. You're not going to want that stuff getting in your eyes, so just take a moment to clean that up. A step stool, unless you're really tall, you'll probably want a step stool. Something to lie on. You know, try and save your back, people. You know, you only got one of them. You could use a creeper as well, but I'm not a fan of creepers. Then you're going to want a cell phone, so you can watch my video, or you can watch Boost Auto's install video. Their install videos are excellent, and there's a link to their install video in the description. Also in the description will be these notes that I've made these notes off the Boost Auto video and printed them out, so I can possibly save some time from having to rewatch the video while I'm working on this. All right, we're working on the passenger side first. To install these, we're going to need 4 bolts for this one, 3 bolts for this one, and one of these. So we're going to take this out, and this piece of plastic. Gonna put this on here. About like this. And then we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these for 6, 7 of these. And then we're going to need 7 lock washers as well. That's 7. And I'm just going to go ahead and get them ready. So when we're lying on the ground, and that's going to be a bolt, lock washer, washer. So when we're lying on the ground trying to install this stuff, we're not messing around having to put washers on bolts. So going under to install the passenger front, I have added a tool. It's a flashlight. You may or may not need it, but my camera definitely is going to need it. I'll be using this to pull a couple clips. And I'm using I'll just be using a 13 deep and probably this extension and our Milwaukee M12 ratchet. This is probably where you'll want a rag and some general purpose cleaner. I already cleaned mine a little bit, so we're just going to go with that. Now I've already had a set of running boards on here, so some of my plugs are missing already because I took them out for those running boards. Now, that was 3 years ago. As much as I like those running boards, they're looking a little long in the tooth, and the powder coating on them was failing. So you should have a plug here, and maybe a plug there, and then we've got that plug. Okay, looks like I spoke too soon on how many bolts we actually need. We need only 2 bolts instead of 3, and then this piece, which goes in right like this, and then get this plastic all the way in, which should hold it in place. I'm just going to kind of screw that plastic down. You could try and push it, but it's probably easier just to screw it in place. So we're going to use this. We're going to use this bolt hole here, and we're using this bolt hole. I thought we were using this one, but we're not. Their directions have you put that on and then bolt it in. But I'm going to put this bolt in first here, because this one's going to keep it from falling on my head. Alright, now in that bag of washers and bolts, there is also a nut. And that's what we need for that. Alright, we got that hand tight. Alright, actually using a 1/4 inch ratchet and a 1/4 inch 13. Okay, there's 2 holes on this bracket. It's the second one in. Alright, all our bolts are still fairly loose. Moving to the back. The back is really straightforward. We've got a plug here. You probably have a plug here. This plug needs to come out. And then there's a plug up here, which is gone on mine, and another plug right here. If you've had running boards before, well, those plugs may not be in there. And then this one is just 4 bolts. And get our 4th one started. Again, we're going to keep these kind of loose. There's how that operates. Same thing on the driver's side. Okay, driver's side is done, and that was nothing unexpected. Next up, we are going to disconnect both of the negative terminals on the batteries. On the passenger side, I'm going to just go ahead and remove our lid, because I know we're taking it off a little bit later in the video anyway. And you're just going to use a 10 to take this off. This battery is going to come out at some point. Alright, that side's off. This is where that step stool comes in handy. This one's a lot easier to get to. Your Chevy may or may not have this second battery. I don't think the gas version has one second battery. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Here's our big wiring harness mess. Now I split these out by passenger side and driver's side. You can see I still have some stuff in the bag there. This is the end of the lighting harness. So we want to put this one with the end that says passenger side motor. So these, 2 of 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 these, 2 go together. Now you know you've got the right harness here. You look at the end of this light harness and it has all of the battery connectors. You know that's the passenger side. It's got a little fuse there. That connector right there is what the driver's side lighting harness is going to connect to. So at any rate, so on this big control unit harness, you want to get the passenger side motor and the end of this lighting harness, and then what we're going to do is we are going to tape this to our wire or coat hanger, whatever you've got. Hopefully you've at least watched the Boost Auto video and you know why I'm doing this. We're getting ready to feed this wire down from the engine compartment to the actual motor itself. So we're just going to take some electric tape here. And again, you could probably use masking tape if you wanted, although electric tape's a little better for this kind of thing. And we're just going to tape this to our metal wire. I'm using some pretty thick gauge baling wire. A coat hanger also works. Alright, that ought to do it. We're basically just going down the back side here by the negative terminal around the wheel well until it kind of comes out at the bottom. Which I do understand is easier said than done. That's why we're using a stiff metal wire. It actually wasn't that bad. There's space to get your hand up in between the inner fender and the firewall, so if you get your piece of metal all the way down there, you should be able to reach up and just grab it and pull it through. Here's our bundle. I can disconnect it from this metal now. See all that electric tape? I should use masking tape. Masking tape's cheaper. Comes off easier too. Alright, now I'm just going to go ahead and plug this in and maybe not use so much electric tape for the driver's side. You can plug these in if you want. The other end of these will plug into the actual running board when we put that on here. Here are our wires, and obviously I'm going to pull back some of that slack. And then at some point we'll zip tie all of that down and make it nice and neat. But not at the moment. So now we need to run the wiring for the driver's side. So the harness that we already ran down for the passenger side motor is this long guy right here. And this is what plugs into our module. This is our battery connector and our negative, our positive here. And that is going to connect right here. So we know where this whole mess needs to end up. That's kind of here-ish. So our big long run over to the driver's side, we are going to run right along the back of the firewall. Now the lighting module wire is a little bit different. So the one for the driver's side has to plug in here. And these are our negative and positive wires, and they've got some length on them. But what kind of doesn't have very much length is our wire that runs down to the headlights. With that in mind, instead of running the driver's side, now I don't really remember how they did it in the Boost Auto video, or if they even really showed how they ran this particular wire, but I'm not going to run it along the back of the firewall. Instead, I'm going to tuck it down in here, kind of in front of the radiator, because this side also doesn't have a whole lot of wire to head down to the headlight. We're going to run that here, and then we're going to run this end along here and back behind the coolant jug down to the driver's side front. And of course we'll be connecting this to our coat hanger baling wire. We'll be connecting it with that other wiring harness that we're going to run across the top there. So this is going to kind of go over there, kind of tuck that in there. It's really slick and it just keeps falling off. Alright, so in the end we'll just tuck it up under here. probably zip tied to this wiring harness here. All right, this end, take these, take our wire, some electric tape, maybe not as much as the last time. Okay, so I ended up not going behind the tank here, but going down here. It's definitely very hard to see. There is a wiring harness that cuts through the frame over there, and I'll show you from underneath. And I ended up coming through there. That seemed the best way to go. And then I've kind of run the wires down around here, this wire, and then again the other wire is going to end up along there. Okay, so underneath, see this wiring harness here that goes through the frame, and if we look right up here, you can see where it cuts through the corner of the inner fender well here, the front inner fender well. You can actually see the wiring harness loom all the way back there, kind of at the top of the shock. But anyways, I caught it right here at the corner and just came in all the way under the frame here. And yeah, that's where we're at. So now I can undo all of this tape, and we'll disconnect these. And we'll be back with zip ties later to clean all this mess up. But I gotta get them plugged in. Right here is the driver's side, basically wired up. So, ready to move on. All right, gonna go ahead and plug our module in. Should only fit one way. Oh, it's a tight fit. All right, next we are working on the headlights. This wire is gonna go down here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the rock light harness as well and run it at the same time. In the Boost Auto video, they talk about the headlight connector. And it's not really the headlight connector. It's the connector that works the headlights, the turn signals, all of that. So I don't actually need to take my wheel well off to get to it. It is right here. That little red slide there, you need to slide that all the way back, and then you can press down on the black piece. Now make sure you get this red piece all the way back. And that might, there, see? It looked like it was back, but really could go back a little bit more. And then you press on the black part behind the red. All right, and it comes out about that far. But really that's enough for our purposes to put this on. We're just putting this between that harness connector and the whole headlight turn signal assembly. I do need to connect up our rock light harness real quick. So I'm just gonna cut this here, giving myself plenty of slack. Strip this. Then we're going to put it into our butt connector and crimp it. Now this is heat shrink, so I'm going to use my heat gun to shrink this. Some people use lighters, I prefer a heat gun. Now waterproof that connection. We're also going to take our wiring harness connector here and plug that in. Alright. Now we're going to do the same thing on the driver's side, but I'm not going to show you that. One end goes into our connector here. Don't forget to pull that red slide back so it won't come apart. And then this goes into the headlight assembly. Same thing, make sure you push that red slide all the way in. All right, let me do the driver's side real quick. It is time to take this battery out. Again, easier said than done. We need to take this loose. We need to disconnect this. And then, let's see, there's a bolt over here, bolt over here, bolt down there. My battery is the original, it doesn't have a handle on it. But what we're trying to get to is this mess down in here. Now the battery is completely free, I think I can probably get my hand down in there, pull our coat hanger out. Because what we're going to do is we're going to go inside the truck and pull the coat hanger in through this way, tie up the wires to it, and then pull it back through. Mine really wasn't like the Boost Auto video at all. When you come up underneath the dash here, there is a big huge grommet right here. and there's a big bundle of wires going through it. But up at about the 10 o'clock position, there's a tiny hole that's already there, and hopefully you can see my wire going through it, through that hole. On the other side is that weird looking nipple thing behind the battery. You can see where my wire is coming out. I had to cut a little slit in that to get the wire out, just because, well, maybe if I had sharpened the end of it or something, it would have cut through it, but it wouldn't just poke through. So anyway, that's how we're getting in. So now we are going to tape some wires up to that and pull them into the passenger compartment. Okay, this is what we're connecting to our coat hanger. Disconnect this switch. Obviously, remember that white is pin 1 and red is pin 2, or just look at my notes because I've got that in the notes. This is probably not going to want to pull through here very easy. You might want to have someone help you. I'm just going to give it a yank and hope it doesn't pull the wire out of the... All right, we're through. Okay, I am torn as to what I'm going to do with the rock light switch. I kind of don't want to put a hole in my dash. Well, at least one that's not obvious. But for now, I'm just going to hook that switch up inside and it'll just be there. I'm going to think about it. Maybe in another video, I'll show where I put that. I've got our wire here, and I've taped our high and low wires to it. And it is going to get snaked behind the console here. All the way over to the other side. You would run your rock lights over there probably too, if you were gonna put a hole in your dash over there and put that toggle switch in. Again, I probably will end up doing that. Kind of run out of daylight. I don't want to rush where I put that toggle switch and then end up not liking it. So, all right, we're just gonna pull our hot and low wire, or high and low wires, over to about there. And then we're going to drop the OBD2 port. Now mine's a 2021, so if you're not doing a 2021, it might be different. So be sure to check the Boost Auto instruction video. Again, that's going to be linked in the description. All right, this is pair 7. According to the Boost Auto directions, we want pins 8 and 14. Looking at the back, wide part is the top. On mine, it's this blue one. That's 8. And then right below it, this white wire is 14. Now take all that with a grain of salt. It might be a different color on your Silverado. So let me take this off of our wire here and route it to its permanent location before we tap this. All right, so we're using these funky taps here. They do require a little bit of real estate on these wires. So you might want to pull this back some more. So top row, 3 in from the left. Make sure you get in there, right? And squeeze her home. Now that is pin 8, and if you look here, this one labeled high, that's what that is. I'm going to go ahead and put the other tap on just so it doesn't get in my way. So the other one is 14, which is directly below the blue one. See, that's directly below it. Again, it's white on mine. Maybe some other color on yours. Squeeze that home. All right. Now that's our low tap. I'm going to go ahead and do our high tap first. So high, pin 8, it's blue. We're just going to stick that all the way in there. You don't have to strip this. Just it was already stripped. It'll punch a hole in the insulation when you close it. At least that's the theory. Alright, you just want to make sure both sides of that thing are latched. Alright, now we're going to do our low tap. 14. Alright, we seem to be good. Now we're going to install this back up where it belongs. Alright, time to get the battery back into place. Alright, we got a bunch of positive wires that we need to hook up, like this one, and this one, if I did my math right, there should be one more. Ah, here it is. And don't forget to tighten up the positive. I'm just going to put it right here on the ground that you use to jump start the vehicle. Alright, here's the big test. If we open this door, that should go down now. Oh, look at that. We are finally in the home stretch. We are starting on the passenger side like we've been doing all day. I'm going to flip this over. We are at the back. We are going to get 4 of these, and they just go in like that. 1, 2, these go all the way to the front. Front-ish. These are going to stay here in the back. I'm going to do the driver's side too. 4 of these. These look like 10s. You probably can't hear that, but we are racing a thunderstorm now. Well, unfortunately, the rain won. We'll finish this anyways inside. So I'm going to install the passenger running board right now. The driver's side running board is installed the same way, so I'm just going to show the passenger side. We're just kind of going to space these. Kind of look at it, space them. Do the same on the back. I just kind of hope you got it right. And I did. 2 nuts for the front, 2 nuts for the back. Alright, that's got the fronts now. If you haven't checked the back, just put these on loose. Your door should remain open the whole time you're doing this. Same on the back. Really figure out where you want it. Slide it into place. I got mine back pretty much all the way. Once you got the board where you want it, go ahead and just tighten it down. Once you've got those tight, once the running board's tight, now you can tighten the bolts that go into the bottom of the rocker, not the ones in the back yet, just the ones in the bottom. All right, now we need to plug our lights in. 2 little outlets right here. That's 1. That's 2. Now this wire that's dangling down, you can actually pull up through this channel. It's not very easy, but it can be done. You kind of pull it down a little bit, and then pull it from the back. Alright, once you've got that wire tucked out of the way, you can take the rest of this wiring. You can zip tie it up to this wiring harness up here. It already is connected to the frame, so that's a good place to connect it to. With the wiring all handled and bundled up, it's time to close the door. Alright, and now we tighten down the bolts on the back of the brackets. Ooh, this is going to be just in time. It is pouring. Alright, well, I think I'm done. Time to see if the lights work. Yeah, look at that. Rock lights are working just fine. Nice. Working on this side. Working over on the driver's side as well. Alright, I got the rock lights off, but let me just hit the unlock button here. Oh, look at that. Oh, sweet. Oh, I love it. I love it. I'll take some more video of it tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But like, subscribe, comment. I'll see y'all down the road.